call on Alice Housing, and the Healing the Bruises Fund was the specifically nominated fund. And I'd like to introduce Joanne Bernard, who's the Executive Director.
Thank you. Imagine, if you will, a 4-year-old child, a son, a daughter, a niece, a nephew, a grandson, a granddaughter, or any 4-year-old child that's in your life. Now embrace that image with your heart and with your mind and listen to our story. 7 years ago, I was having a conversation with a young woman who was in her late 20s who had 3 children. An 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old, all boys. These 3 children had witnessed and experienced violence that hopefully no one in this room has ever had to witness in their life or experience. I was having a conversation with this young woman, and during the conversation, her young son kept interrupting her, wanting her attention. And even though she tried, she was not able to steer him away into something else. So finally, after a few minutes, and I could clearly see he was getting frustrated, he looked at her, took his hand back, slapped her across the face, and called her a fucking bitch. That slap woke me up, it woke her up, and as I looked into her eyes with the tears, I knew then and there that we were missing the mark with children who were witnessing domestic violence in the home. I carefully took the child, placed him down on the floor, and talked to him about not hitting and not using those words. Except those words were as familiar to him as the words mommy, because he had heard it so many times in his home. His father had called his mother that repeatedly. This child had witnessed beatings. This child had witnessed sexual assaults. This child had witnessed verbal abuse. That day started my quest to develop and to write Healing the Bruises. Thankfully, within 6 months, we were able to get seed funding for a year for a part-time position. The outcomes that we met in that first year with those few hours far exceeded anything that we had ever hoped for. Children came to us not being able to speak, not being able to learn, not being able to walk properly because they were in the home and told to be quiet. We had children who were self-harming, they were cutting, they were having regressive behaviors, nightmares, and the wait list in our community at that time was 18 months. Families come to us for 2 years. The goal of Healing the Bruises was to make the child the primary client, and through modified art therapy, through play therapy, through recreational therapy, on which we only use male volunteers, and through individual counseling, we are able to help these children process their trauma. We are able to help these mothers regain their parental control that the violence took away from them in the home. This is a unique program. It exists nowhere else in Atlantic Canada. It is a nationally recognized program and has been presented at international conferences for violence against women. It receives no government funding from any level of government. It is not a program of the United Way. We rely every year on the generosity of the corporate and the private donations that we receive. Every year we are in a deficit, which means some other program at Alice Housing, which helps women keep safe and recover from abuse, gets taken from. Because we believe this is important. These children are in our communities. They are in our schools. They are everywhere. They grow up. They go to university. Some of them go to school. Many of them go to jail. We are the stopgap for the cycle of abuse in domestic violence. Alice Housing has been in the community for 30 years. It's a 2-year program, and we have an 89% success rate of women not returning to their abusers after 2 years. The national average is 69%. Working with children is pivotal in affecting the cycle of abuse. These children deserve the chance to know that when they grow up, they do not have to be like their father, or they do not have to be a victim. Breaking that cycle of abuse through the many programs that we have through Alice Housing, directly dealing with children, is absolutely crucial. because these children have no other place to go. They work with our counselor, they work one-on-one, and they're able to process the trauma that they have seen to a point where they can recover, where they can move on, and they know that they can be different when they grow up. This program is pivotal to this organization, it's pivotal to this community, it's pivotal to this province. We share our information whenever we can, and we did it in the last 2 years with the creation of a book called Healing the Bruises, which we gave to every school in Nova Scotia. Thank you.